Notice the journeys. Notice the struggles. Notice the success. Notice that we are much more than just athletes. You've heard the stories, but not quite like this. New episodes weekly on Thursday. It's time for the world to take notice. All right, brand new episode of Take Notice, episode number 3. I'm your host, Duane Notice, and I got someone who I'm, ecstatic to call my brother, somebody that, has been in my life for a short period of time, but affected me greatly. One of the greatest teammates I've had, one of the strongest individuals I had when it comes to characteristics and just being true to who they are. Somebody who's a talent on the basketball court, but also makes an impact in his communities and communities around the world. So, Justin Anderson, welcome to the show, Take Notice.
My boy. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for coming. So it's been a minute since I've seen you. Obviously, you've been doing your thing. You're currently with the Brooklyn Nets right now. You're playing in the bubble, which was awesome to see you playing and compete against, even if it was against the Raptors, being from Toronto. It was still dope. I was cheering for you and supporting you. Where you're from, I know you're from Virginia. Talk about how Virginia raised you and what your influences were when it came to basketball and your family dynamic that kind of catapulted you to being the basketball player that you are today.
Yeah, man. I mean, it means a lot. I appreciate the intro off the top, just because I remember like after a game, like someone I guess had interviewed you and you had said that, I was one of your favorite teammates. And like that meant a lot to me because I have guys that are like that to me, and to be able to be one of those guys to somebody else, like I know that feeling because I was able to and fortunate to have guys in my life and on teams who were good veteran leaders to help me kind of push my game. So I appreciate that first and foremost. But I originally come from Virginia. You mentioned the Nets. That's why I'm rocking my New York hat. But originally from Virginia, come from a family of 5. Mom and dad still together to this day, which is a blessing. My parents didn't really allow us to leave our little town in Virginia. It was really just about family. That's what we embodied the most and embraced the most. My dad used to always say faith, family, basketball. That was like the list of everything. So like if anything went down, if it wasn't in that list or in that order, it kind of had to fall in line. So girls, you can imagine, had to always fall fourth. Having fun usually fell fourth, unless you were having fun with the family or the game. So just a little bit about the background of how I grew up in Virginia. Then as I got older, I was really highly recruited and scouted, I guess you could say, with all of these websites and ranking services or whatever. Like that stuff started really early for me, and I didn't really understand what I was getting myself into. I just knew that I had a dream, and I wanted to be somebody that can help put my area and my state on the map, because we were kind of the laughing stock, which is one of the reasons why I chose to go to Virginia, to kind of bring back some of the dominance and the winning culture and things like that there back to school, because it's no better place than putting on your place, your hometown where you were raised. So that's just a little bit of background on me. Both brother and sister played basketball. My pops played basketball. His claim to fame is that he played against Rob Sampson in high school. So it's crazy how life comes full circle. Here I go to the same college as, one of the best players to ever come out of Virginia. My dad played against him in high school. So that's something that a lot of people really don't know. So I had to break that here on your pod.
Yeah, so that's dope. Thank you for that exclusive. You having the decision to play at Montrose Academy where, you average 18, 5, and 3, which is tremendous for, being in high school. I guess the toughness and the skill and the mindset back to what you believe is where you're from and how you should portray yourself on the basketball court. Is that like a conscious decision for you to kind of play for where you're from?
Not really, if I'm being honest. I mean, because where I'm from is a small town. It's called Montrose, Virginia. It's like a population of like 450 people as of now. But then when we moved up north because of better education for like my brother and sister, my sister went to Virginia State, HBCU. My brother went to Mary Washington after transferring from Montrose. I went to Cortland High School in Fredericksburg, Virginia. We kind of moved more to the suburbs for educational purposes. But we never really forgot where we were from. I mean, we had family in Montrose, and we still go back and visit to this day. We have a mail postal service, and all of that still goes to that home address. It's just something that's just tied to us, man. It's just where we from. But I don't really think about that, man. I mean, I had too many nights of sleeping on cots and too many nights of sleeping in the kitchen and too many nights of holes in the floors and warming up shower water, bath water on the stove. Like all of these things kind of make you realize like I don't want to do this. Like, especially when you get a little bit of exposure to like what's going on outside of your little bubble, if you will. No pun intended, kind of given the situation that we have now, but like, it kind of got to a point like, sleeping on the couch, like it was just a lot, man. Like, no AC, no heat. Like, I hate to kind of go down that road, but that road is what makes my journey special. That's what keeps my energy and everything and my perspective kind of so high. So when you talk about what is the motivation, and the motivation, it was just to always live a better lifestyle. And I kind of came up, and my parents worked their butt off to do better than where they came from. And so it's no different for me to have to do the same thing and take care of them the same way that I hope mine will take care of me one day. But, as far as like the competitive edge, man, that's kind of happened since, young boy at the Y. We call it the YMCA. I don't know if you guys have the YMCA out there, but yeah. So like, I was at the Y and, I had a cousin, Chris Johnson. He played at LSU. He plays pro still, Joe Posey. Obviously people know the football guys, Torrey Smith, Jermon Bushrod, that came out of our area and went pro. But these are guys that will come back and play at the YMCA. And these guys are way bigger than me, like 5, 6, 7 years older than me. And so in order for me to be on the court, like I had to guard. Like if I was a liability on defense, they didn't care about anything else. That all came. But like if you're a liability on defense, you just can't put your name on the board to play next. Yeah. And so like that edge kind of came from like, I would be pissed off when I would lose because like at the Y where I'm from, like if you lose one game, bro, you're not playing again for at least another hour.
Sure.
And so like that competitive edge was just kind of instilled in me. And it's like, I didn't go home and say like, oh, this is what's going to help me get to where I'm at. This is what's going to dictate my career. It was just like, that's just my reality. Like that pisses me off. Like,
yeah,
unless somebody leave, they call names and like you get cool with the person that's doing the score and somebody leave and they like, yo, Josh, you can run this game. But like, that wasn't happening much, bro. I was like 10, 11 years old, playing against like grown men who had 9 to 5s. And so when it was my time, I made sure that I'll always go out there and give everything. And if it was game point, whatever, I learned early, like no easy layups. I learned that early from OGs around where I'm from. So, it's just kind of your makeup and your story. It's kind of really predicated on kind of where you come from. So it's a great question.
Yeah, it's good to have that environment to kind of, fulfill you. Like you said, just adds more fuel to the fire. And I remember being your teammate, just being with Raptors 905, like, I don't even think we knew each other that well yet. Or I think it was like your first day there maybe, but I remember after practice I was shooting and you were shooting separately on different baskets and you told Coach Ryan to call me over and I came over and we were into a shooting competition right away. And you didn't even know me from anybody. So
Nah, don't do that. Don't do that. Because I maybe didn't know who you exactly were, but we go back to U16 in Argentina. You was playing for Team Canada, I was playing for USA, bro. And we both were getting no burn. We had mad fun off the court, both Canada and USA. We all got along because we was like, yo, they speak English? Like, oh, that's lit. So, but we definitely go back. But yeah, for sure. I mean, when we got the chance to link up in 905, I mean, it definitely was an opportunity to get to actually know who you were as a person. So
yeah, speaking to your competitive nature, like you was just like, we gonna shoot, but we not just shooting to get 5 shots up, to get 10 shots up. We competing. Right. And that was something that, I mean, obviously as a basketball player, I stay after practice, I come before practice, we all work out. But, sometimes it's just, you don't have that pressure because you're not really playing anybody. Even if I'm shooting with some of my teammates, we're just like, first to make 10 or whatever. But it's not really like the competitive pressure. Playing against you, it's like we both talking smack to each other. We both bringing the best out of each other and trying to make each other miss. And I think that went a long way just for my personal development in terms of how I look at me getting shots up after practice now. I try to add like a competitive aspect to it.
And it's important because it's like what has to happen, what people have to sometimes realize is like at the end of the day, this game is a competition. Like this game it's always something on the line, like always. So like, for the young up and coming hoopers that's watching, or listening to this pod, like the thing behind that is like, I know I'm a better shooter than you, but you're a better shooter than me. And so it's like the only way that we can settle this is through this competition. And so what you don't realize is like you're so locked in because you don't want to give somebody bragging rights for the entire day. But the edge and the aggressiveness and the focus that you're shooting with when you're competing, that's how it is in the game. I want to make this shot because I want 3 more points.
Yeah.
I want us to go up a couple more points, or I want us to come back. And so, like, if you're not simulating some type of competition, whether it's, you know, making 10 out of 12 from 5 spots or first person to 5, like if there's no type of competition, then you might be doing it all wrong. So
it directly translates from practice to the game. Now, you know, sophomore year, you won Sixth Man of the Year of the ACC. And that award was pretty big for you. I think kind of like shifted the pendulum in terms of like where you were going to take it in your career when it came to college basketball. I won the Sixth Man of the SEC award my junior year. Just talk about what that meant for you. Like, did that shift a mindset in you to be like, you know, I deserve more time, or I belong here now, or what did that do for you winning that award? I know that we don't play, especially knowing you as a friend, as a brother. I know you don't play basketball for individual awards, but what did that mean for you just getting that?
That's it right there, man. Like this award, the reason why I appreciate the award is because moments like this where I can go back and I can reflect and I can say, like, you know what, it all made sense. In the moment, the story behind that Sixth Man of the Year, and I'm sure you had a story behind yours as well, because that's usually how it happens. You come into the season expecting something, and next thing you know, it's a plot twist, and you're just like, you're so pissed off that you actually play better.
Yeah.
And so it kind of puts you in a position to actually be in the running. Like, I had no clue I was even in the running for that. But my sophomore year, man, we started Malcolm Brogdon at the point. We started Joe Harris at the 2. We started me at the 3, Anthony Gill at the 5, and I believe Mike Tobey at the Anthony Gill at the 4, and Mike Tobey at the 5. These some high level guys, man. I mean, this team right here. I mean, you're talking nobody's below 6'5".
Yeah.
And so we played a couple of games, and we're like kind of getting by the skin of our teeth, man. And you know, coach is like, man, we got to get a point guard in there because Malcolm can absolutely play point, but Malcolm could score it for us, and we needed some more scoring off the wing position. And so I was the youngest, but also maybe not necessarily ready to fulfill that starting role at school yet. And so it was the easier decision for me to come off the bench. Now, looking back on it, I can say it like that. But in the moment, like, bro, I wanted to transfer. I wanted to do all of the stuff that you hear about everybody else talking about and everybody else doing. And so, you know, you always hear me talking about keep going and the mindset and the perspective. I mean, all of that stuff is just built from when I was young. Like, you take it back to the why. It's like, nah, like, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to quit. Like, you know, I want to win. I want to figure out a way to win. And so I recognize, like, we entered a London Parantes, guard from California, beast, controlled everything. I mean, he took us to the promised land. But in the moment, you know, I had to trust that coach had my best interest, and not only mine, but the team's best interest. And he was going to allow me to help get to where I wanted to be. And so I found a little bit of a freedom coming off the bench, you know, that year, because it was, you know, not as much of an expectation when you come off the bench. Those guys start the game, I get to come in and just change it. So I kind of embraced that role alongside Anthony Gill. And so, you know, I think we got towards the end of the year and they brung it in and was like, we want to congratulate you with this award. And I was just like, what? Like, this is crazy. Like, I'm definitely finna make it now.
Nah, that's funny. I had a similar story. It's just, you know, PJ Dozier, who's with the Denver Nuggets right now, playing in the bubble, he was coming in as a freshman to the University of South Carolina. And, you know, Frank Martin approached me, which I respected as a man. Like, he came to me and told me, like, you know, even though you had a good season last year, you know, outstanding season last year, we need you to come off the bench because the way, you know, the flow of the game, we need scoring off the bench, we need this, we need that. But like you said, as a young kid, I wasn't trying to hear that, especially somebody that, you know, always started wherever I was at or was the best wherever I was at. To have him say someone younger than you coming in and he gonna start because he kind of a similar position and whatever. I was upset. And like you said, I went through all those emotions of wanting to transfer, doubting myself, probably being even more overconfident, thinking like I'm too good, like I should not be coming off the bench. But once you kind of like embrace the role and you understand, you know, trust, like you said, is a big word, trust, you know, that the coach has your best interest at heart and also the team's best interest at the same time, then, you know, you kind of let go and you give into the situation and you make the most of it. And like you said, I didn't even know there wasn't an award for it in college. So when they brought me around at the end of the season and said, like, you're the SEC six-man player of the year, I was like, wow, that's incredible. I did not play for that. I just used it as motivation to, like, show my coach that, okay, I'm going to excel in this role. And like you said, there wasn't enough pressure coming off. There wasn't as much pressure coming off the bench because you just come in and you just change the game. You don't really have to go in there and set the tone. And you could kind of, like, from a You always talk to me about, scouting and watching game film, and that is kind of like the early onset of it, of me being on the bench and being able to watch the pace of the game and seeing like, okay, this is how so-and-so defending, this is how so-and-so's playing. And when I go in the game, I'm able to kind of have a firsthand scouting report experience because I was there watching the tempo of the game. So it was pretty dope to do that. But it's halftime now. So now we're going to play Notice My Steve. So Notice My Steve asks, favorite questions, a couple questions about your favorite.
The game? We playing a game?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
It's like,
all right, cool.
Notice My Steve's first question. What's your favorite book?
My favorite book is probably The Alchemist.
Okay. Why is that?
That's crazy. Right on time.
Oh, wow.
It's a book that really talks about your journey. Like, people have been telling me this since high school. Like, yo, read The Alchemist. Like, man, I hoop, man. I'm not really into all it. Like, and so when I got cut for the first time in Washington, I read this book, and this is one of the few books that I have read recently. And when I read it, I was like, yo, if I had this in high school, maybe it wouldn't have hit the same, but like this book hits different. Like It talks a lot about your journey, and it talks a lot about the things that you'll embrace and you'll encounter on your journey and how you have to utilize them as your own personal gems, as your own personal treats or secrets to get to where you want to be.
Favorite pregame meal?
I'm gonna have to go with spaghetti and meatballs.
Okay.
I'm definitely have to go with spaghetti and meatballs.
Favorite sport to play outside of basketball?
Football.
I knew that was coming.
What? I got a cannon.
Oh, so you say you quarterback?
Easy. I'm like Dad Newton, bro.
Oh my God. So you throwing with the left hand? What you doing?
Lefty. On the run, quick out the pocket, 3-step drop, let it go. I mean, I got all that.
Like a Madden created player.
I look like one.
Favorite music to listen to pregame?
It depends on the game. Like, yeah, like if it's a game where it's like we going to play Erie and we went out on 5, I might listen to Drake on the way to that game because it's like I kind of know what's about to happen.
Okay, I understand what you mean.
I need to mellow out. But if we about to play like the Herd, then I got to turn up one time. Like I got to listen to Old Hove, or I got to listen to somebody that's gonna talk to me like, yo, you gonna get it or what?
Yeah, I like that. Favorite Virginia inspiration? I know just being around you throughout the season, you educated me on a whole bunch of people that I didn't even know came out of Virginia. So who was like some of your favorite inspirations coming out of Virginia that's not like family oriented?
I mean, you gotta say AI, bro. I mean, you like dude brung braids and do-rags and saggy pants and all that cool to the NBA, to the big leagues, and he dressing like a country folk like us, like.
All right, so halftime is over. What was the draft process like? Just being able to be the 21st pick in the first round of the 2015 NBA draft. What was that experience like? That's literally every kid's dream who picks up a basketball is to hear their name being called, and to have it being called in the first round is a pretty great experience.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was just talking to somebody about this. That whole process, man, is just like, it's a lot, bro. From having to go straight from college to like working out, and then leaving early is something that's way different. Like leaving college a year early is like, because I had no clue at the beginning of that junior year that I was about to put my name in the draft and go make money. It basically came down to like I can change myself, my life, like we talked about earlier in this interview, and my family's life as well. Just by making a decision to go when I found out that I got the news that I would be late first, early second. And not only did I find that out, I felt like everybody in the college basketball outside of the top 15 picks, they found out that they were going to be late first, early second. So it was a really competitive 15 block of selection that maybe 60 players probably had been told or promised. And so for me, going into that process was it was easy because I'm coming off of a team that does things the right way. And when I say that, like Coach Bennett played in the NBA, so he understands taking care of your body. He understands the importance of catch and shoot. A lot of drills that we were doing in the pre-draft workouts and things, we've seen that in college already. And so that was huge for our program for me, looking back, is because I said, you know what, this place prepared me. Now, keep in mind, if I transferred, I wouldn't have gotten that benefit, and who knows where I would be right now. So I'm super thankful for that, for that team, for that group, for that staff. But then when it came time to hear your name called, growing up, my favorite team was actually Dallas. And I was just telling somebody, Nowitzki with Finley, obviously Cuban was wilding back then.
Yeah.
So it was a dope team. Steve Nash, like these guys were nice. So I actually got hospitalized. This tangent, but you my boy, so I'm gonna give you everything. You my dog. I actually got hospitalized when I was young, like when this team was playing, maybe elementary school. It was definitely elementary school. Steve Nash, Finley, Dirk.
Yep.
These guys were in the playoffs, and I was hospitalized for 2 weeks for some type of spider bite. And so I kept asking my mom, can I get a Dirk Nowitzki jersey? Can I get a Nowitzki jersey? And so I don't know if you guys have this out there. It's called Ross, Dress for Less.
I know Ross, but we don't got it out here now.
Okay, so Ross has like everything like knockoff. Like they have, like if it's overdone in the store and it's time to get it out, they send it to Ross and Marshalls and all of that. So I had a Dirk Nowitzki fake replica. It was replica jersey, fake replica. I don't know, whatever. It wasn't authentic jersey. It was blue with silver lining. Mavericks jersey, and this is my favorite team. Being from Virginia, you don't usually have a favorite team unless you're a Redskins fan, but that's still DC. Like, we don't have a sports professional team. So you might meet somebody that's a Cowboy fan and the neighbor is a Dallas fan, the neighbor's a Redskins fan. It's just all over the place.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm rocking with Dallas. I want to move to the league. I want to play for Dallas. Simultaneously, during the draft, Future comes out with March Madness. I'm the one that's living lavish, like I'm playing for the Mavericks. And I felt like my life was just coming together all at the right time.
That's like everything coming together at the right time. That's crazy.
And so I get the phone call, and it's Donnie Nelson to Mark Cuban to guess who? Dirk Nowitzki. And I'm not like starstruck at this point because I'm like, all right, I'm about to get drafted. Like,
yeah,
I gotta act like this is about to be my teammate. I gotta let him know, like, I'm ready to do whatever, bro. Let's get it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I hang up the phone and my mom's crying. And I'm like, yo, life really comes full circle when you do things the right way.
Exactly.
And so, like, that feeling, that emotion to be drafted, when people ask me what was it like, the process really started earlier than just that night. The process started with falling in love with the game, with doing early morning workouts. My dad drove me back and forth from Montrose to Montrose Christian in Maryland, 2.5 hours every single day. And then we would have practice. So I would get home at like 10:30, 11 o'clock and have to wake up at 5:30. Like, all of those things kind of came back together. And so to be drafted, not only 21st in the first round, but to one of my favorite teams growing up, that in itself, man, was just an unbelievable feeling.
Yeah, that's incredible. Right? Like you said, it's like the stars kind of all aligned at the same time. And you're able to take advantage of it. You went to play in the NBA Summer League where you averaged like 18 points and you averaged 4, I think, assists. And it was a great experience for you playing in the Summer League. I want to know what's the difference between playing in the NBA, that first rookie season, to playing in college. What was the major differences for any other players out there who are going through a similar process?
For me, I felt more free because I played at a school that everybody was talking about our pace. Mm-hmm. And they were like, they have athletes. They got Justin Anderson. They got Joe Harris. They got Anthony Gill. These guys can get up and down more. But that's not what they choose to do. They choose to play a defensive style and take their time on offense. And so, like, we were hearing all of that stuff, and we knew what we could do. But we also were bought into what Coach Bennett knew what it took to win. And so when we finally got from, it was almost like letting out a dog, like a junkyard dog, letting him out the cage. Like, I finally get to just run and gun. Like, I get to run the floor and catch a like I get to pull up for 3, and I'm not looking over my shoulder like, yo, too early in the shot clock.
Yeah.
It just opened everything up. And so for me, like, the biggest difference from playing as a professional to playing in college is college is more business casual. Professional is more casual. You can wear jeans and a t-shirt here. College is more like you got to put your suit coat on, and it's more of a team environment, team scheme, team setup. Whereas in the pros, it's like, this is what you do well, do it really well. This is what you do well, do it really well. And we'll come together collectively and we'll make this thing work. So that's really the difference for me.
Like being a star in your own role, essentially. It's just magnifying what everybody's good at and then having them all come together collectively. I think that's like a really dope thing that you said, because a lot of guys just think that they could just make that transition easy from the college level to the pros. And just to like piggyback off that, being Dirk Nowitzki's teammate and also being, I'm pretty sure you were a teammate with Vince Carter as well, who's one of our Canadian GOATs. That experience, like playing under those kind of vets, like having that tutelage, I'm sure you heard a lot of gems and heard a lot of things outside of basketball, but also on the court that kind of helped you in your personal life.
If I'm being real with you, bro, gift and a curse. Like, you see stuff that you're like, man, I didn't want to see that. That you the GOAT, you on my wall. But then you also you get to experience things and see that, like, at the end of the day, man, these dudes are hoopers. Like, it don't matter. None of that other stuff matters. Dirk is definitely one of my favorites. If not, you know, to play with, he's one of my favorites for sure. Like, Dirk got soul. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Dirk, one of us. Like, but Dirk worked, man. Like, he 40 plus in the gym, beating a lot of folks to practice, and he wasn't beating me because I was fortunate to have a guy, Mike Procopio, who took over our player development stuff in Dallas when I was a rookie, and he had all of our young guys in. Dwight Powell being a name that you know. I mean, me and Dwight were in the gym before practice, after practice, before games, and after games. I mean, it's sometimes you might get 3 to 4 workouts in a day, depending on playing time or depending on the type of schedule that we had. But Dirk, man, Dirk was working like he was one of us. I mean, he was doing like sprints on him by himself on the sideline to maintain cardio or to build it up. You know, he'd fly in his shooting coach, Holger. These are all things that, like, if you really love the game, like, you know these names and you know what's going on, all of that stuff is real. Wow. You got, like, Vince, who, you know, like, my man was coming in like, like, I'm sore, like, I can't go today. Next thing you know, we after we finish stretching, he's not even stretching with us, but he's talking about he's sore, and we do like a fast break drill. He's like 360 and like with one hand booming it, and I'm like, yo, you're fraud, bro. I'm like, what do you mean you're sore? Like, he's like, nah, I'm good now, I'm good now. I'm like, what did you go take a magic pill or something? Like, so it was just crazy to be able to kind of experience some of that stuff. And you talk about full circle again, like being able to play in Atlanta with Vince and then hear about his experience in Toronto in particular, and then being able to go to 905 and recognize that he didn't tell one lie about what goes on, and the love that is shown and the respect that people have for their athletes and their teams. Like, you know, it's been amazing to play with some GOATs, man. It's been amazing.
Oh, we're going to touch on Toronto in a little bit, but
yeah.
To kind of circle back on what you said earlier about just being a college player and then going to the pros is more of a freedom, bro. Did you find that was the same off the court as well? Because for me, I know just being in college, you have classes, you have study hall, you have, you know, this media obligation, you have community service, then you got to find naps to sleep, then you got practice, then you got to be in the gym on your own time, then you got to have your own social life. Like, it was very intense having that college schedule from 7 a.m. to midnight at night. But then going into the league or playing in the NBA G League, I always found that, like, you know, we have a practice, but outside of practice, it's like you want to lift, you want to get better, you want to shoot, it's on your time. There's obviously resources there, but in terms of like just having the whole day to yourself outside of, you know, film, practice, and traveling and games, it's like there's like a tremendous amount of freedom. Did you find the same thing as well? And how did you balance that?
Yeah, Dino, I'll tell you this, bro. Like, my first couple of years, like, I don't think I was lazy, but I call myself lazy, because when it came to doing anything basketball related, I did it. I went hard with it. But when I would come home, like, bro, I was talking like 2-3 hour naps, 4-hour naps.
Yeah.
And then sometimes not even being able to sleep later that night because you slept some of the day away. And so it's like, you know, you get how that kind of narrative goes. And so, like, when I'm seeing, like, with this whole COVID thing going on in the quarantine, and guys are now coming out of college having a chance to actually get some real relaxation and rest, and, like, understand that, like, okay, I'm going into 2 separate jobs. I was in college and that book is closed, and now I'm in the pros. Like, I'm a professional athlete now. That's about to open up. Like, they're really at an advantage, because if you think about it, like, before this COVID, like, guys were only getting like 2 weeks off after college seasons. And we all know how hard college basketball is.
Exactly.
You're running for no reason. You're waking up at 6:30 in the morning to do cardio and strength training and workouts. And then, you know, you only get like two weeks. And think about those 2 weeks, Dino. Like, I said, I'm playing March Madness every day after I get drafted. You know, celebrating with my friends, my families, people that wanted to see me. Those 2 weeks isn't really rest.
No. Yeah, nah.
You go into like, all right, you have to be here and you work, and then next thing you know, you're in training camp, and next thing you know, you're in preseason, bro, and then next thing you know, you're in full season mode. When I was a rookie, I think I played 3 seasons in 1 year as a pro. 3 college. I played my whole career in college, my first season in the NBA. Because if you do the math, I think it was like 33 games or something that I played my every year in college. I
Yeah.
played 3 years. That ends up being whatever amount of number, and we went to the playoffs.
Yeah. So yeah.
I played 3 years in one season.
One season, yeah.
And so, like, when you talk about, like, that balance, I look back at that now, and I understand what rest means, and I understand what having a schedule and a routine means. Like, now I'm able to optimize and be my best. And it took 2 years, maybe 3. And I'm going into year 6 now. It took 2, maybe 3 years in order to really understand that, forget basketball, forget as a human, as a man. Like, all right, I finished my workout for today. Like, today I went grocery shopping after my workout. And it's like little things like that. It's like, when I was young, man, I was like, forget that. Like, I'm not doing that, you know? And then it's a trickle-down effect. Now you're eating Chick-fil-A when you can be cooking yourself something and eating more wholesome food. And, you know, we've had conversations about all of that. So, yeah. You know, it's just a part of growth, man. And these guys now, I think, are really fortunate to be able to have this big of a window between coming out of college and coming into the NBA. And I'll say this here now, man, you'll see that this rookie class will be different than a lot of other rookie classes because of it. I think this rookie class, and I know only a few of the guys, but you'll see that their energy level and their production throughout the whole course of an entire season will look different than what has usually looked in the past from maybe the top and the bottom of the draft combined.
Injuries are a part of the game. It sucks. It's a part of the game of basketball. It's unfortunate. I'm going through it right now. I know you went through an injury as well. What's also a part of the game is the business aspect of basketball. So you've been traded before. Talk about what that experience was like being traded, how you found out mentally, what that did for you, and how you were able to overcome that adversity.
I'll start by saying it sucks. My whole life, bro, I've never been traded. My whole life, whatever team that I've chose to be a part of, I have been a key contributing factor. And for the first time in my life, it's like someone slams on brakes and you're not even paying attention, and everything is kind of just like rocky. I remember my first time being traded. I found out through Rick Carlisle, who called me into his office, and I'll give you a good story about that. I remember Darren Williams actually got bought out, and Cleveland picked him up later. But I was at Darren's house the night he got bought out. And I was getting my hair cut with his barber, and I'm like, man, I miss you, big bro. Like, this is my OG, this is my vet. We sit beside each other on the plane. We go to dinner every night when we touch down in cities. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like, I didn't know that this type of stuff happens like this, like just like that. It was right before the trade deadline. And so, right before we had just got back from All-Star break, and the next day I go into the gym and I found everybody knows, and you know, we're coming up on the trade deadline time. Like, it's like 2 hours left. And so I'm like, all right, we good. Like, I'm about to go into practice. I got my practice uni on. I get a phone call, Rick Carlisle. I answer. And I guess before I answered, I took out my one earring. Boom. I put it at the top of my locker. What's up, coach? Hey, come to my office really quick. I need to talk to you about something. All right, cool. Hang up the phone. I walked straight to his office. Now, I didn't know that I only had one earring in until like later that day. I left my earring in the locker. I get to my crib. I'm like sitting on my couch for like hours. And like, I finally go look in the mirror, bro, and I got one earring. And so I'm like, all right, man, like, this is what it is. I'm trying to embrace it, but it sucks. My dad calls me, man. He's like, man, you crazy? I'm like, what you mean? I'm like, I wouldn't be sad. He was like, look at how much of an impact you had on that community in Dallas. Mm-hmm. Like, look at how many of those kids come up to you and ask you to take pictures because they would come to games. They ask you to take pictures. Like, look at how much of a motivation you were in UVA to some people, to some kids. He's like, man, if I'm you, man, he's like, I embrace that stuff, man. He's like, who else gets the opportunity to go play city to city and be able to have an impact in different cities across the world?
It's a fact.
And so I'm like, all right, bro, I guess I won't be mad at this. Like, I guess I'll kind of be cool with it. And it stuck with me. And that moment was huge because, like, when you talk about like my dad he's a man of very few words. Like, if you know, you know. But, you know, it's like because of that, because he doesn't say much, when he does actually say something like that, it really hits you different. So it stuck with me that, you know, during the hard times, it's like, you know what, I'm gonna just take advantage of whatever I'm getting. I'm gonna control whatever I can control. And so to answer your question on the backside of that, like what was it like? It sucked, but it was character building. It shaped me. And I thought it would never happen again. And it happened again from Philly to Atlanta, after Dallas to Philly. And not only that, I'm like, all right, I got traded in the NBA. That's expected, but I'm too good to get traded anywhere else. Then it got traded in the G League. But while I'm getting traded, I'm getting better as a player.
Exactly. So it's not even like a true reflection of like, yeah,
of
like
the circumstance.
Yeah, exactly. So like talking about the G League, you playing in the G. What was the difference between playing in the NBA and playing in the G League?
We had some fun, and it's like we had some fun, man. I'm super glad that I got the chance to really come out there and like, because you know, making that decision off the top, like to go into the G League was hard for me.
Yeah.
I turned down a lot of currency in a few places across the water, and so I say that because I was chasing a dream, man. I wasn't chasing money. I was chasing to get back where I felt I belonged. And that process, that burning desire, that energy is still the same. But when you talk about the NBA and the G League, man, I mean, it's very difficult because you're asking some great questions too, because I get to tell you how I feel because you know my process. But the hardest part is going from, okay, I know I have to be a role player in the NBA. Yeah. And I have to do it extremely well in order to stick. Defense is a non-negotiable. I have to be able to guard 1 through 5. I was in the bubble guarding 5 men. Yep. I was in the bubble guarding point guards. I have to guard everything.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to like, are you a scorer or are you a facilitator? Or like, I felt as though in the NBA, you have to be really good at whatever role it is that team needs. And that's why you are a role player. You have to star in whatever role that team needs, because when they acquire you, they're not acquiring you to come in and just do anything. They're saying, okay, we need a defender. We're going to bring in Justin. But usually what comes with that defender is going to come catch and shoot, catch and drive, catch and give the ball to somebody that is getting paid a lot more money than you. Yeah. And so I started to understand that. But then when I got to the G League, it became, I am not going to be known as a loser. And so if I feel as though that I have to do more and show more in order to help our team win every night, then that's what you have to do as a competitor. Yeah. And so sometimes a lot of guys get that mixed up. And Ryan was huge for me because Ryan, he understood the pro level so well that he knew that, and Jama was great as well as far as communicating with me about what it is that I need to do to get back into the NBA. But those guys really helped me understand that, okay, maybe you're being a little bit too aggressive on the 3. You're falling in love with the 3. We know you can shoot the piss out of the ball, but we need you to now maybe get downhill because the way that their defense plays, they collapse and we can spray. And like, that right there was a really big time showing of like the capability the G League has of preparing players for the NBA, because they could have easily just let me do what I want and let me run wild and free, but they coached me. They helped me get better. And I think the difference is in the G League is dogs coming for your spot every single night. Yeah. In the NBA, you have nights off. Now, not maybe a role guy like myself, but like in the G League, any and everybody can get embarrassed. I mean, that's a league of some hungry, you-know-whats. Yeah. So I had to put myself in a position where my mentality had to shift from you're a role player to you have to not go out here and get embarrassed by these dudes. You have to go and put up numbers. You have to go and guard. You have to go and block shots. You have to go and sell tickets. You have to go and, like, I wanted to do everything that I could do to help whatever team that I was on. And I think it paid off with Brooklyn calling me up for a 10-day and eventually leading to me being in a bubble with them. Yeah, exactly. I think it definitely paid off. You know, you had like a little short stint with us, but it was definitely impactful, like I continue to say. You know, having the work ethic that you had, always being, you know, the first guy in the gym and one of the later guys to leave, and then your willingness to make everybody better. I know it sounds like cliche to say, but a lot of guys that have your talent, your work ethic, and have been on the pedestal or stage that you've been on will not
have that same kind of mentality or personality when it comes to, you were pulling aside Matt Morgan and talking to him. Me and you stayed in each other's condos, like just talking about life, let alone basketball. Same thing when we go eat with me, you and Tyler, and just, you had that open dialogue with Ryan, and you had that constant communication throughout the team. There was no favoritism. 1 through 12 guys, you was equally on. If we were, not doing what we were supposed to be doing, you held us accountable. If you didn't do what you're supposed to be doing, you held yourself accountable. There's many times in the huddle where you apologize or you said, like, I'm going to do this better, or whatever the case may be. Like, where did you get that that selflessness from? Like, what makes you such a good leader, and why are you so selfless?
You took me back to a moment. You took me back to, I think we were in Chicago, and I was playing a 4 in 905.
Yeah.
And we were missing D-Rob.
Yeah.
We needed somebody that was a lob threat because it opened up everything. But because D-Rob was out, we called Nick game changer. What did I call him that day of the bench?
Game changer.
Was it game changer?
There.
Cheat code.
Chico, yeah. Chico.
And Nick's skill is so different. Like when I talked about like college versus pro and what guys bringing their skill together. Nick's skill of playing with a high motor and playing so freaking smart.
Yeah.
He was better for us at the 4.
Yeah.
And if I had to go to the 5 for us to win, I'm cool with that if we had no D-Rob.
Yeah.
And so, like, I remember saying, like, yo, he's our Chico. We got to play Nick a lot. And next thing you know, Nick's playing like 19 minutes a night. And obviously, shout out Nick, man. Like, my guys in 905, but, like, where does that come from? Man, great coaching, bro. I mean, I got to play for Boo Williams as a AAU youngin', where the program was bigger than me, but we won. I got to play for Stu Vetter at Montrose in high school, where the program was bigger than me, and we won. And I got to go to UVA and play, where the program was bigger than me, and we won. Oh, yeah. And those coaches, when you have coaches in your life, like how you speak about Frank Martin, when you have coaches in your life that have that type of impact, it rubs off on you. And my parents are everybody loves my parents. Like, so I guess a lot of it has to be credited to how they raised me, I guess. I mean, like, but at the end of the day, man, it's a game. You play a game to win. Yeah. And when you're on somebody's team, that's your fan for life. Like, I don't have many teammates that I don't get along with. And if it does, it's like people who are like, man, I don't really rock with him like that. But it's like, dang, I rock with you. Like, where did it go wrong? Like, it's a game, man. Like, at the end of the day, man, when this is all said and done and we all too old to hoop, like, I want to keep going with my life, man. Like, I want to keep going with who I want to be and who I aspire to be. And actually, this wave right here, this platform is something that I enjoy, talking about basketball. Yeah. And so I'm actually really happy that you took this opportunity. Like, here I am, I guess, being a good person or something. I don't know. But, like, I'm happy as hell for you because it's like you could have easily taken this Achilles injury and done nothing and chill. But like you said, you know what? Let me actually get on the pod. And I hope TSN or somebody picks you up out there because I know what you talk about when you talk hoop. And you know everybody in the game. Like, people know you. And so it helps a lot. But where it comes from, man, like, I don't know. Like Coach Bennett used to always have these pillars: humility, servanthood, passion, unity, thankfulness. Like, those things are like ingrained in me. And he used to always say humility is knowing who you are. So I guess, I mean, I'm not really worried about like competitors as team. I mean, we're going to compete, but like as my teammate, I guess I'm not really worried about that because like I know who I am. I'm secure in who I am. And when my time comes, if it's now, if it's later, like when it comes, it comes, and I want to celebrate it. But I also want to celebrate other people's success as well because that's just a part of life. I mean, that's just, in my opinion, that's just doing it the right way. So I don't really know if I answered it, but I'm just trying to tell you, like I've been lucky to have good people around me, man, good people in my life to kind of help shape and mold me. Yeah, it's the fact that you're so coachable and, like I said, like you're so accomplished at the same time. It goes hand in hand and it comes full circle. Like, you just love to see it. Even, what was it, 2 weeks ago or a week ago, you didn't have to text me, but you texted me just reaching out, letting me know Wesley Matthews' story. He went through the same situation, tore his Achilles when he was with the Trailblazers, and you told me we have similar body types, similar games, and just to
read up on him and look at his story. And that to me is just like, nobody has to do that. You weren't forced to do that. You just did it out of, the love for our friendship. And I think that's amazing. That's just stuff that you were doing throughout the year, whether it was, taking young guys to go eat, or if myself or other guys didn't have a good game or didn't play as much as they thought they should, you took us under your wing and just explained to us the process and the business of basketball, and that this is not our end all be all, and to continue to work and stuff. And just lessons that will stick with us, myself, and, hopefully the rest of our teammates from 905 and whoever else has, been blessed to be a teammate for life. So getting on to, you spoke on the quarantine and COVID, unfortunately hitting. COVID for me was weird because it was the first time in my life outside of this injury that I've never really had to play basketball. Like, basketball was forcefully taken away from me. Like, I can't wake up every day and be like, I'm going to go hoop 5-on-5 or do all the things I want to do. So how did you handle the quarantine and the whole COVID process? What were you doing to stay ready to ultimately be signed to the Brooklyn Nets for the remainder of the season and play in the bubble?
Chilling. Chilling.
Resting.
Bro, like I would wake up. I had a good buddy of mine. Excuse me, sorry about that. I had a really good buddy of mine, best friend from college. He had a lake house. His parents had a lake house out in Virginia. And I went there, and he was telling me how crazy it was before it happened. Because you don't remember, I was in Long Island with the Nets.
Yep.
And that's when we all found out we were about to play Chicago. We were about to play Windy City Bulls. And we all found it out, and guys left to go back to their respective cities. They actually held us in the hotels for like 2 weeks before we could leave.
Yeah.
And I was worried because I was in New York for 2 weeks. Like, let me just go home. But we had to all follow protocol before they could release us. And I was worried because I was like, if I go back home, I'm going to be lonely. I'll be by myself. And if I go to my parents' house, I put them at risk. And I was like, nah. Like, so I get on the phone with one of my buddies. He's coming in from San Francisco, which is also bad. So we just posted up at the lake house, and we got on this app called Future Fit app. Man, we were just chilling, making food one day on a boat or something, one of the two things. So that's literally what we did every day. Yeah. So we had our own personal trainer, and my dad is a big workout guy, so he had his dumbbells and stuff. I went and stole his dumbbells, went to the lake have and then we would like a part of, like, every other day we had to run a mile, or some days 2. And that was a super nice run. You're running on a lake. Like, come on, bro. It doesn't get any better than that. Like, we were spoiled. And then I had the dumbbells for, like, the dumbbell curl to press. Like, I was on Instagram at some point because I was like, all right, like, I need some motivation. I need some like hard eyes or something. Like, I don't know. I needed some love, right? And so we did that. And that was my only way of staying in shape. And shout out to Lifetime Basketball. Lifetime sent us 2 goals. And I was able to put up a full court right in the cul-de-sac. And we would just play full court ones. Like, we used to always do it in college. Like, we would play full court ones to 100 in college, but it was 100. Yeah, to 100 in college, but it was concrete. So we played at like 50, maybe even less than that, because you can't get to running too much. Like, we're doing miles and doing that. Like, I didn't want to mess up nothing. So, so we were able to do all of that, man. But the best thing about the quarantine process, bro, was just being able to chill, man. Like, just being able to let my mind run free. Like I said, I was out by some water, and sometimes we all know that can be very insightful. It can be very relaxing, meditation, all types of things like that. Because, like I said, with these young guys coming into the draft, they're really at an advantage, like not having to go straight from college to professional. Like, this was the first time that I actually didn't have to compete this long since like maybe middle school or before that. Because it was always something that we had lined up, whether it was AAU, whether it was high school basketball practices. And this is the first time that I really got to sit down and understand who is Justin Anderson. Like, we know the basketball player, and as athletes, we've run that rat race of like trying to continue to build our brand and enhance our image and our aura. But like, it was no faking the funk when you had to sit there to yourself every day. And so I realized, like, man, I don't even like playing video games as much as I thought I did. Like, man, I don't even like doing this and that as much as I thought I did. Like, I thought I could cook. Like, I'm actually trash at cooking. Like, let me actually call some people for some recipes. So I called my man Bub in Philly. He got me right. So, like, it's just a whole bunch of things that, like, I got to learn about myself, man. And I think it's really made me a better person, man. I honestly think that this quarantine has made me, outside of all of the stuff that everybody else knows, just like the stuff that I needed to take care of for myself, of just like maturing and understanding what I have to do to get to where I want to be in my end goal. Like, I was able to focus on that stuff more for the moment.
It's always good when you can take a situation that's, unpredictable, unprecedented even, and turn it into something that's positive and optimistic. So for you to be able to kind of have that deep reflection, get some much needed rest. 'Cause like you said, we always back to back doing things every day. If it ain't traveling, it's lifting. If it ain't lifting, it's playing ball. If it ain't playing ball, it's practice. It's always, one thing to another. It's always a constant grind. So having that ability to kind of change your perspective on yourself and life and basketball as a whole is always going to be beneficial in the long run. So being in the bubble, playing with the Brooklyn Nets, how is that being with your old teammate, Joe Harris? Was that like a familiar face to kind of keep you comfortable and grounded while you're in the bubble? Then also talk about playing against the Raptors. You went from playing at Scotiabank Arena for the 905 to playing against the Raptors in the bubble. What was that experience like? Were you able to kind of see the differences, like, and also the similarities in terms of they run similar sets to how we used to run it? And did that help you and give you an advantage when you're playing against them in the playoffs? And then just being in the NBA playoffs as a whole, that's like a great experience. What was that about?
Y'all got a special one that he ride for y'all city, man. So I remember when we were in 905, we ran this play that it was always a hammer action on the backside. If you don't know what hammer action is, it's basically a screen. But Toronto, we ran it in 905, and I was watching film, and because like I had to be a spark. Whenever my number was called, I had to go in and play my role and play hard and try to change the game. And it was a couple of times that we needed that. But I remember that play call from the first day of film watching Toronto. And I was like, yo, what is that call? What is that call? What is the play call? And so I text Dino, and I'm like, yo, what's that play where we run the hammer action on the backside? He was like, I don't really remember. And I'm like, damn. So I hit up Tyler. Tyler's like, I think it's called this and this. And he was all wrong. And so I'm trying to like do everything I can to help our team be prepared for this series, because obviously P-Dub is over there. O'Shea is over there. Duane's over there. But to be able to like get called to go over to the bowl, man, was huge for me personally, because, I'm just thankful and blessed for the opportunity, because, I mean, it could have easily went where I didn't go. And there was some COVID restrictions and things that I had to get through. But, like, I could have not went. I could have been at home this entire time. And now I'm a free agent at home, and I'm not being able to show, like, that I'm always working and I'm always ready for whatever opportunity I get. And then when you talk about the bubble, like, everybody wants to talk about food and all of the bad things that went down there, man. But, when you talk about the sacrifices that everybody had to make for that thing to come together and to still be running as strong as it's running right now, I mean, it's gotten to a point now where I recognize that, like, yeah, we miss our fans, but, like, if anything ever were to happen, it's good to know that the NBA now has a really good backup plan. And they've done a heck of a job. And, the staff there that was sacrificing cooking for us, and they had families at home, and the testing every day and all types of stuff that was going into it was huge. But, it was just unbelievable to be a part of that, be a part of that organization like I did at the latter half of it last year after leaving you guys. Love the Nets, man. It's been a blessing to be able to go and play for that organization, because just like Toronto, I can honestly wholeheartedly say that the Nets also treat guys like a family. And I'm very lucky to play for really good organizations.
As a basketball player, was it difficult playing in the bubble, having no fans? How was that experience? Or was it just like, as a hooper, you don't even think about it?
Bro, stop, bro. We played in the G League.
I know. That's all I'm saying. But you played for some great crowds. I know Philly has an amazing crowd.
Oh, man.
That Dallas crowd is incredible.
I'm going to tell you this, Dino. We were together in Showcase. And I remember us having a conversation before Showcase, and you were like, yo, last year I had a hell of a Showcase. Like, it really put me on. Like, the setup there was very, very identical to Showcase.
Okay.
Very identical. Like, you remember how we had the GMs right there on the sideline?
Yeah.
Very minimal fans. Like, you had to know somebody to get back there in that ballroom. And then, like, it had the two big screens, and, like, whatever was on TV when we played the TV game, we could see it.
Yeah.
Exact same setup.
Okay.
And so, like, for me, it's like, bro, I'm hooping. Like, I can't hear it. At that point, like, I went from G League to having games where we rocked out a show to it's cold as balls outside and nobody coming to the game because it's snowing in Erie up to 6 feet. And we got to create our own energy. And so, like, all of that stuff really prepared us. So, like, as far as, like, without having fans, like everybody misses fans, bro. It's nothing like the fan experience. It's nothing like being able to, do something dunk. Like, all right, I'll take fans that Giannis dunk. Like everybody went crazy over that, but like I ain't really think about nothing of it. Like I did it and I flexed for a second, but I was like, let me get back on defense so I can stay in this game. Like, but like if it was a crowd, like it could have been an and one because of how electric it would have been. It would have been something that maybe I would have stopped and posed even longer. Like you just never know. Like that fan experience takes everything to another level. But when it comes to a guy like me that's trying to survive and trying to get it at all times, it don't really matter for guys like me, LeBron, Jamal Murray. It's like let me stop.
Every LeBron. Giannis don't really be getting dunked on too much. So for you to come down the lane, just dunk on him like that, left hand is – I mean, for me, it's like the same experience as you talking about Vince Carter talking about he's sore and all that stuff because throughout the season you was talking about how you ain't got no bounce, but then you be monkey dunking it and cuffing it 1 foot.
I think I stole it from Vince.
I swear, bro. You telling me it's dollar, man. Hey, man, don't even throw it up, man. Just pass me the ball. I'll go lay it up. And then next thing you know, you catching lobs and stuff. So, it's definitely a dope experience to have. I hope you get that frame. Like you dunking on Giannis, the MVP, back-to-back MVP is an amazing thing to do.
Maybe one day, man. Maybe one day somebody will put something dope together for me, but I'll definitely not seek it out, man.
About to wrap it up. Right before the pandemic hit, there was a lot of things going on that, was happening around the world, more specifically in the United States, due to social injustices between the George Floyd, rest in peace to George Floyd, his situation, or the Breonna Taylor situation, who we're still seeking justice for. A lot of things that were happening in terms of the Black Lives Matter movements and the police brutalities and the things that were going on. And I know that 905 put together a call where we all hopped on and we spoke about the situations and, how to affect change and how to, inspire our communities. And we did that and had a candid conversation. I know you were pretty adamant on the call, and then, knowing you as a friend, seeing you on the front lines with your boys, Malcolm and Brogdon and other guys that you were there with, NBA peers that you were there with on the front line protesting for the Black Lives Matter movement. What did that mean to you? And as an athlete having this platform, how imperative is it for you to get involved in the community, and kind of what are your thoughts collectively around that whole situation?
Yeah, man. Once again, dog, unbelievable question. Like, I think the first thing I definitely want to say to everybody listening, just take a second to really think about Colin Kaepernick, and take a second to really think about what it is that he actually done. He has done to make a statement and to stand for something, though he was kneeling. Now we are kneeling with nothing at risk.
Yeah.
Because he sent a message years back, maybe now 4 years back, that allowed us to have a platform. Jay-Z says, Rosa Parks sat so Martin Luther could walk. Martin Luther walked so Barack Obama could run. Barack Obama ran so all the children could fly. So I'm going to spread my wings. You can meet me in the sky. Colin Kaepernick did that. And now, before games, NBA, I remember when Cap did that, I wanted to kneel with him. But it wasn't, I guess you can call it being young. You can call it not having the balls. You can call it not being allowed to. Whatever it is, I didn't do it. And so now, fast forward a few years removed, and people are starting to listen more, we can't forget about where that started.
Yeah.
And so I say all of that to say that there's been so many people who've put themselves, their careers, their lives, I listened to Jacob Burke's father say on TNT after the game last night that his father was a civil rights activist. And for him to hear those stories and his son to later become a part of people being activists, I could only imagine. And so during this time, like the biggest thing for me was educating myself on not necessarily the history of what was happening, but the history of how we kind of evolved from what has happened. That's where my area of focus is, because after I walked with Malcolm and Jalen, like I felt I couldn't sleep, bro, for like 3 or 4 days. And I told you guys that in the meeting, I couldn't sleep. because my mind was, and I didn't even find out why. Malcolm had told me why, and I trust him as a teammate, as a brother. Malcolm, it was like, bro, look, you have to focus on one thing. If you continue to try to think that you could try to save all of this stuff in one day, your brain's going to be, because it's so deep rooted.
Yeah.
And so for me, it said, okay, I'm going to focus on something more positive. I'm going to focus on me. I'm going to focus on being the best Black man that I can be for my family. I'm going to focus on celebrating my parents as Black parents and they're still together. I'm going to focus on educating myself on what is going on, why it's going on, and how can we prevent it from going on. Like, and so my mindset had to take a big time shift. And so for me as a basketball player, as an athlete, as a professional athlete, you know, what's her name? Laura, forget her last name now. She told Bron to shut up and dribble. All of these things are coming together. Like, at this point now, I'm recognizing that what better chance and opportunity for us to understand ourselves as a culture, as a race, and as a community than what we're seeing when our back is against the wall and we're not being treated fair.
Yeah.
What about when you have to stick up for yourself, when you're not treated fair in any aspect of life? That's when you learn the most about yourself.
Yeah.
And what to do the next time, never let it happen again. And so for me, that's kind of the thing that I've taken, and to be an athlete and be able to have this level of freedom because of what a guy like Colin Kaepernick did and risk everything for, to be able to have this freedom. I texted Lloyd Pierce last night to see him as an assistant coach in Philly, and he coached me, and to be able to get to know him as a coach and now be able to get to see him as a more of a leader, mentor, and activist in his own light. I told him last night, I said, it's inspiring, man. Like, to be able to see that a coach is opening up doors for players to be able to express themselves. Like, we're seeing it now with mental health, and we're seeing it, but like now we're being able to express ourselves in a light that we never before had been able to do as a unit. It's always been like, all right, if you're going to do it, Mahmoud, what was it? Mahmoud, I don't want to butcher his last name, but Mahmoud.
By accident too.
But Mahmoud had got crucified for what he did during the anthem years ago. And Mahmoud is nice.
Yeah, he is.
Like, they said, like, he had like this thing where like he wouldn't leave the gym unless the ball went through the net a certain way after. Like, he's nice.
Yeah, he's serious.
But because he had a stance on something and he stood for something bigger than himself, those are the people that I'm thinking about more now and being more appreciative of for stepping up and being able to allow me to go out there and play this game with a level of freedom rather than having to hold in so much of how I feel. So now I can use my social media to say, like, this isn't right. I don't agree with this. That, like, I can get involved in that. And I don't see it as getting involved in politics. I'm not talking about lawmaking.
Yeah.
I'm talking about unfair treatment. So don't let me go into too much of this, diving into it. But like with this whole thing, I mean, these are some of the things that I've learned throughout the process. And I've learned to be able to kind of become stronger and grow from it, because I think collectively I have people that I know I can lean on based off of things that they're saying with the freedom that we're now granted to kind of say. Even though it's always been there, we've always kind of really wanted to protect our pocket, to protect our image. But those guys really opened up doors for us, and I have to continue to speak my truth.
I think the key element that you talked about, just recognizing the ones that came before us in sports and in history in general, who put their careers, put their lives literally on the line to speak up for the cause and the movement and the unfair treatment that's been happening for a very, very, very long time that needs to change. And then another thing that you said that I resonate well with is just having to educate ourselves, and not only educate ourselves, but educate our households. I think when we're able to affect immediate change within the people around us, whether it's our peers, whether it's our family members, I think it goes an extremely long way. When we have that strong nucleus of education within the household, and I'm able to hold my brother accountable, I'm able to hold my cousin accountable, I'm able to hold whoever in my family accountable to what's going on in the world and where things come from, where it derives from, and to respect that, I think it goes a long way. To shift kind of focus on that. You being in Toronto, what was your experience like being in Toronto, being someone from the South and then coming to Toronto? I had Natalie Ashanwa, who plays in the WNBA, who's from Toronto, speak about her experience. I had Tyler Ennis speak about his experience. I had my brother speak about his experience. We're all people coming from Toronto going into the South, so it's different. How is it from you going from the South coming to Toronto? Like, I know me being in Toronto, it's multicultural, it's diverse, it's all these things, and then me going to University of South Carolina, I'm like, whoa, Confederate flag, I'm like, you know, whoa, it's either black or white. Like, you know, stuff still happens. And I'm not saying that it doesn't happen throughout the world, but it was just more prevalent when I was in the South. So for you having that kind of reverse journey, how was that?
I will say, man, it's not all racist people in the South. It's some cool
Yep, sure.
MFers in the South. And so, like, being able to come from the South and be proud and be from Virginia and be living in Atlanta, like Atlanta is, you know, they call it Black Hollywood, like a lot of successful Black people here, a lot of successful movies being produced and filmed here. Tyler Perry's out here doing this thing.
Yep.
To be able to live in the South is a special thing because the level of respect that people have in the South is different to me than a lot of places in America. People will hold a door for you. People will speak to you when you're walking up and down the street. Mm-hmm. And so when I came to the Six, I actually recognized there was a lot of similar vibes. Me and Devin Robinson were both from Virginia. And so like he thrived in Toronto. He was there longer than me, but I could see why, because he's such a, I'm gonna throw myself at you person. Yeah. And Toronto is such a, we gonna match your energy because we rock with human, we rock with people, that it works. And so like, I guess the biggest difference for me is just like the multicultural environment that is going on out there, man. Like, you know, me and you were talking about this, like I have to be real. I mean, I know you want nothing less than real, like to see so many beautiful people and all be so like respectful, like almost as if they don't even know that they're so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like they're so humble and they just want to have a conversation and they want to get to know who you are. They're so intrigued at you as an American and you're so intrigued at them as a Canadian. And the things that you talk about, all of the garbage is kind of like rinsed out. It's like you talk about things that you have in common.
Yeah.
I could have been blessed to be around good people. A lot of that could be credit to you and Tyler. And I met the right people, but I'm talking, I would go to the spot right at the mall. What's the spot that I would eat at almost every day?
Joey's.
What is it? Joey's Kitchen? No,
yeah.
not Joey's. Joey's.
Earl's.
What is it? What is it?
Earl's.
Earl's, right at the mall.
Yeah, at the mall. Yeah, Square One. Yep.
And so, like, I would walk into Earl's and I'm like, what you doing working here? Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, it's like these types of things where it's like, it's just a different environment. When I was shopping in the mall, whenever I did anything, the people at the front desk of the hotel were super nice always. Arsalan came to my mind, just like a super humble, hardworking, in the dirt grinding type of guy. Like, you know, it's just so many it's so many good vibes that I had and I created and I was able to be a part of out there, that when I say what's the difference, obviously I lived here so I could see all of its flaws a little bit more. But what the difference is I just think that like the way of life of like kind of really happy-go-lucky, and you know, that was something that really impressed me. And very, very clean city. Yeah. Very clean city. Like, takes pride in their city. I wasn't seeing garbage on the side of the road. I wasn't seeing, you know, the mall was never messy. You know, marble floor shining at all times. You know, it made you feel like you wanted to spend some money up in that thing. So, you know, it was an unbelievable experience, man. Somewhere that I will constantly come back and visit throughout the remainder of my life.
Man, you know what's up. You know a lot of people that open their door for you.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you and whoever that is.
End of regulation. Now we're about to play Put On Notice. Put On Notice is basically me asking you this or that questions. 24-second shot clock violation we put up. All right, so Put On Notice. Still or sparkling water?
Still.
Usher or Chris Brown?
Breezy.
Ooh, Snapchat or IG?
IG.
Horror or comedies?
Comedy.
Damn, you doing good. Drake or J. Cole?
Woo! Drizzy. That's tough, though, bro. That's tough.
Sweats or jeans?
Sweats.
AI or Steve Nash?
Woo! AI. Oh, that hurt. That hurt. Hey, Virginia boy, man.
Hibachi or tacos?
Hibachi.
And if you had superpowers, that's the time. But if you had superpowers, would you rather fly or have invisibility?
Invisibility.
All right.
Man, that's tough.
That's tough. I put you in some. Yeah, that was compromising right there.
Woo, boy, you gonna cost me some money with that Steve Nash AI jump.
Hey, they both ghosts, bro. They both ghosts at the end of the
You
day.
feel me? You feel me? The fact that they even mentioned in that conversation, man, is just unbelievable. So
Exactly.
luckily, I got the chance to be around one potentially.
Yeah, you are. I know. Yeah, I'm gonna put in my word. I'm gonna tell Steve, hey, listen, man, you need you a dog on the team.
Word. My man, I appreciate it, bro. That's right. That's right. Canadian too, yeah.
Man, he was a GM of Team Canada. Now I know a little. He helped me pick my university.
Oh, that's what's up,
We got
man.
a little relationship with him.
That's what's up.
Nah, I appreciate you for coming on the show, man. Someone that I could always count on to be in my corner. Someone that, whenever I pick up the phone or call, I know they'll answer. Justin Anderson is someone who we mentioned that we had a history before in the past, but to kind of, be reintroduced to each other and play on the same team and, get closer as teammates, but also as humans off the court, has meant the world to me. And, and for my development as a basketball player, but also as a young individual, a young man that's, continue to figure things out in life. So, I cherish the conversations that we have. And, like I said, we played together for a short period of time, only a couple months, but it was very impactful. And I know a lot of people can say the same. So, want to wish you the best of luck during this summer. And hopefully you back with the Brooklyn Nets. Or on the NBA team doing your thing, and wish you all the best. So thank you again for being on the show. Take notice.
No doubt, man. I appreciate you having me, brother.
Yes, sir.